Humans of the cardboard, welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we are taking a look at THERIONS. We've already talked about THERIONS. We all know what THERIONS do. They're coming out in like less than a week. They're a really cool archetype. But today I want to talk about specifically what would happen if they kind of made a Therion for any given type of monster in the entire game. Therions seem to be really, really powerful extenders, even generically within certain types, and in specific cases like Regulus, they get even more absolutely bonkers if they have a good effect on the field. And, you know, we're going to talk about that today. What types would really appreciate like Therion monsters added to their type, and like what decks might be able to take the most advantage of those. So, starting off, of course, just so we know what we're talking about here, the Therion monsters tend to be level 7 or 8 monsters, where they tend to be somewhat beefy, like not crazy, but like, you know, over 2,000 in at least one of their stats, sometimes both. And then they have two specific, well, I guess 3 things going on for them. The first thing would be this. The first effect where they say they can target a Therion monster in grave or any other monster of their type. So this guy's a warrior, so you can target a warrior in grave. They summon themselves, and if they do, they equip the monster they targeted to themselves as an equip spell. The second effect would just be a bonus effect on the field. Some of them have protection. This guy has a pop effect. Reaper has like kind of like a compulse effect. Duke has a like destruction effect protection. Lily can search any Therion spell or trap, are really good at getting the field spell, which searches you another Therion monster. Regulus is by far and away the most crazy one. He is just an Omni Negate, straight up, absolutely cracked. And then the new one is the Reptile, who lets you summon one of your Therions that is currently in the spell and trap zone. So that could actually extend you even further. Obviously, that's more built towards being better in like a pure Therion list, but you know, still a solid extender for reptiles nonetheless. There's the last one, Therion Irregular, and just like his name says, he does not work like the rest of them, so we're going to ignore him for the time being. But the last effect at the end here says that if a Therion monster is currently equipped with them, they actually give their second effect, so whatever their on-field effect would be, they give that effect to the monster they're equipped to anyway. So you can kind of double up effects, or if you have one Therion equipped with another one, they kind of just have double effects, which is really cool. Yeah, so like Therions are obviously really, really good. We're going to go into this assuming that the effect probably won't be insane, but we'll mention like just out the gate here, let's just keep in mind that if any Therion ever comes out again that has like a Regulus-esque effect where it's just so generically easy to just have either a negate or a quick effect removal or quick effect whatever, that's an interruption. If it's just an interruption, then it'll be considered like probably pretty crazy in whatever type of that they have, if they remain like having the same summoning clause. So getting into the different types of Yu-Gi that have not been used here, I will say this: Beast Warrior, Wing Beast at the bottom of the list. I don't see any of these being crazy, but like it could be okay, and specifically because of stuff like Tri-Brigade. Not only because Tri-Brigades are really good at getting stuff in your graveyard, but also because Nerval and Kit float when they're just generically sent to the graveyard. So especially if they had one that could like equip one of those and then just kind of like it's good enough to leave up on the field to your opponent's turn. So if they do get outed or something, you do get floating off of Nerval and or Kit, which is pretty cool. But nothing specifically in Beast calls to me. Nothing too specific in Beast Warriors like, oh, that's insane, to be honest. Nothing really. So these are just okay. I think Wing Beast might have a little more going for them just because of like stuff like Lyralisk, stuff like the Samorg package, obviously Tri-Brigade as well, and I don't know, maybe some other stuff, but I can't think of it off the top of my head. At least Beast Warrior, maybe like if they ever unbanned Zodiac Dryden again, maybe this would be interesting because it's so easy to get a Zodiac engrave. Creator guy we can skip. Cybers is definitely an interesting one. Cybers has a lot of cards that could potentially like be good to like equip off of this. The only problem with this is that Cybers already has so many good extenders that unless they made a Cybers monster that was like Regulus-esque, I don't know if they would even like power creep all the awesome extenders they already have. So I don't know. Dinosaurs. Dinosaurs don't seem like most archetypes are that great at just like filling up the grave. So again, this deck doesn't really look for just like extenders, bodies on the field. It's really mainly looking for like impactful cards. That's why we love Conductor, right? So if it didn't have a really powerful Regulus effect, I'm not sure it'd be that great. Again, Dragons would be insane. Not only do they have like so many good cards that help you get into graves so easily, but also they even have a couple of really cool synergies. I think of like Abzerrouter Dragon for rockets, generically getting you a search if it's just sent to graves, being able to re-equip that and have it sent later, get you another rocket card for follow-up. Really good. As well as something like the I don't know the name exactly, the baby black metal dragon, where if it's sent from field to the graveyard, it adds you a Red Eyes card. You could potentially re-equip that and have another search for later on as well. So a couple really cool synergies there. And of course, Dragon's just one of the best generic types we've ever seen. There's a ton of good Dragon archetypes and cards. So yeah, Dragons for sure. Fairy's a weird one. I honestly can't think of any Fairy deck that I think would be like amazing with this Regulus. Or not with Regulus, with a Therion card, except for maybe Agents, just because Agents just like extenders. They can put fairies in the grave pretty easily. But other than that, I really can't think of anything fairy that's like so overly obvious that like it'd be so crazy. I think it's just fine. Fiend is interesting because I'm sure there's some great ones. I obviously think Burning Abyss could be interesting, especially if you have any kind of quick effect to like send whatever's equipped on the opponent's turn. So even if it wasn't a disruption effect, you could potentially equip something like a Farfa, like an Alich, and quick effect send them from being detached to trigger them to either get the quick banish or the quick negate, which is actually pretty good. Or something like Backjack if you're playing a control variant. There's definitely some good options there for sure that I'd be interested in. So Fiends are probably good. Like, there's just a ton of Fiend cards. A lot of dark stuff that tend to be graveyard synergistic, so obviously there should be some good synergy there. I think Fiend's one of the better ones. Fish. I don't think Fish is that great. The only Fish deck that I think has ever really been amazing seems to be, like, Sharks are, like, a decent rogue deck that can do some cool things. But other than that, like, Fish have never really been a great type. Insects. Insects are one of the premier ones that even if it was like a vanilla on field, it still might be really good in the deck because of 3 different cards, at least off the top of my head, that I can think of. First one is Resonance Insect, of course, Retaliating Sea, and Gokipole. All 3 of these cards say generically, like if they're sent from field, I think Gokipole says sent period, but the other 2, if they're sent from field to the graveyard, they add you a certain card there, which is really crazy. And Resonance even searches whatever the Therion monster would be if it's level 7 or 8. So you could literally go like normal Resonance, link it off for an Almirage, Resonance search you this new Therion card, use the new Therion to equip the Resonance. Because it's not once per turn, you could link off like the Therion with the Almirage for like a Verte Anaconda maybe, and trigger Resonance again. It would literally make Resonance a 1 card DPE plus Sting Lancer in hand, which is actually insane value. And it'd be in graveyard to potentially do something like that again later on, or banish at some point to get him to trigger his other effect. Really, really crazy. This is the one where it's like insane. Obviously, Retaliating Sea kind of doing similar things, but you can't go into Almirage with it, so you could still, if you see them together and like you're able to like do a play with Retaliating, you could obviously extend way harder and search more level 4 earth insects off of it and just go ham. Like, really crazy. The interactions with insects seemed crazy. We have Machine one, we have a Plant one, we have a Psychic one. Going to Pyro next. There's no great archetypes for Pyro. We are speculating that we're getting closer and closer to the inevitable volcanic support at some point. Maybe at that point we could see. Maybe we'll get a Pyro Therion and maybe it'll be awesome for them. Hopefully, something cool there. Reptile we actually have. Rock would be an interesting one. I can't think of another great rock archetype outside of Adamantipator. And Adamantipator is a pretty damn good one. It could be an interesting extender for them, but they have so many good extenders. I just wonder if it isn't a card that has awesome effects on the field, if it's even going to be worth playing, if its level is kind of a little bit clunky. Although the deck does have level 2 tuners, so if it's like a level 8 extender, that could be enough, kind of, just to make like Baronne de Fleur pretty easy in the deck, I guess. So that could be something. Sea Serpent. Sea Serpent is probably the best one out of the water types, better than Aqua, better than Fish, probably. You have stuff like, also you have like the interaction with Atlantean Dragoons, which is one of the better water decks in Yu-Gi-Oh! Atlantean Mermail being able to send Dragoon and search any Sea Serpent in the entire game of Yu-Gi-Oh! Kind of makes this card a little bit interesting. So we'll look at that. That could be something spicy. Spellcaster's just going to be good. Just doesn't matter. Like, one, you have stuff like Magician's Soul, so you have the interaction of being able to send this straight from the deck to fire off Magician's Souls from the hand, which is really good. But also, there's just so many good spellcaster decks and archetypes that, like, this card would probably be able to abuse something, I would imagine. And that's pretty cool. Next up is Thunder. Thunder Dragon is interesting. This shouldn't work with Splight when it comes out. Maybe there could be something like, we get really good Battery Man support, and then this is really good in Battery Man. I don't know. I still think Thunder would probably need a Regulus-esque card to be nice. But Thunder is such an underwhelming type that other than Thunder Dragon, like if they don't plan on bringing back Colossus for a while, like they could give Thunder like a pretty good Regulus-esque level monster. Warrior we already have. Wing Beast we already talked about. Worm would be crazy because of specifically Tenyi, because of how good that deck is at putting a monster in the graveyard without even like normal summoning or anything. But also because they have like a level 1 tuner. So like if it's a level 7 specifically, making a level 8 synchro really early could be nice. And then also Sword Soul. Like maybe it'd just be an insane extended you just throw into that deck anyway, because it's just the deck's already crazy. And like it's just like extra gas. And the last archetype here is Zombies. Zombies a weird one because like zombies don't have a ton of hand extenders. They really just don't. So that would be interesting. It'd be a searchable target for Bloom, Glow Up Bloom. So I don't know. There could be something there. And the deck would be probably pretty easy at dumping it to grave. So maybe dumping it to grave, equipping it with another one would be pretty interesting. But I don't know. Nothing too crazy. If I had to pick like the ones that I think have like the most potential, it'd be like Worm for sure, just because of how good already Tenyi / Sword Soul is. Probably be Spellcaster just because of how many good archetypes Spellcaster has. It'd probably be able to abuse something. Rock is interesting, but it's just that Emancipator. Insect, obviously huge, and then I'd probably say like Fiend and Dragon. So there's like my top 5 list if I had to give you one. But really, really cool. I just like talking about this. I think this archetype's really sweet. I love the cool aspect of this deck, and I like that they are somewhat generic, even if other than Regulus and I guess Lily, they're not like too generically insane, but like we could still get some interesting ones. I don't know. We'll have to see. But all in all, really, really cool. I like to just theorize this stuff and think about what it would be like for any of these other types to get stuff. And stuff like insects, that's like when you really think about it, you're like, wow, this might be the most broken one, because like the interactions with it would just be insane with some of the cards they already have. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully Konami does give us more Therion monsters, because I think this archetype's pretty sweet. And yeah, that's it for me here. Thank you so much for watching. As always, guys, subscribe to the channel if you haven't seen everything from me and you want to see more stuff from me down the line. And I'll see you in the next video. Preach.